In 2019, President Trump created Space Force and is prepared to spend billions on ruling space. Two agencies already exist with billion-dollar budgets that are concerned with America controlling space, because we are told now that the nation that controls space rules the world. I stood on Cocoa Beach, Florida last year and watched two of the SpaceX rockets, one tearing its way through the night sky, and a daytime launch. It was actually a NASA probe that would circle the moon, searching for apparently families of planets that we believe are around every planet. Wouldn't that be really neat if the parents lived on one planet and each of the family had a surrounding planet? That could be something that we will all experience in the future. We were shocked to learn back in October of 1957 that the Russians already had a satellite in space. You may remember Sputnik. That was a Russian achievement. And then they put actually a dog in space. And suddenly, our American government woke up to the fact that they were losing the space race. And April 1961 came a shocking announcement that Russia had put the first man in orbit. And the story went around that, well, their Germans are smarter than our Germans, because we got our rocket scientists from Germany when the Nazi regime was defeated. Otto von Braun and others came to America, built our rockets. And I see now that the head of the SpaceX rocket team is a young German with a very distinct German accent. The Russians and the Americans still keep on hiring Germans because they have this brilliance about them to perfect these potential weapons of war. And the German government now is having research done into a truly stealthy bomber, truly stealthy plane. Apparently, American stealth planes have to have a plane accompanying them with the stealth facility. And one of our planes was shot down. One of our stealth planes was shot down because that plane did not accompany it. So now German bombers will have the stealth mechanism built into each plane, which the US does not yet have. It seems as though we are trying to get to heaven. And from what I could see there from Cocoa Beach, that we're barely scraping the surface. These little tiny rockets that we're sending up are putting satellites in space now every 2 weeks. SpaceX launches something, and they put a Middle East satellite up there the last time I was there watching. It's a tremendous achievement. It's creating lots of orbiting satellites up there. It's also creating a lot of junk in space too, which we're becoming more and more worried about. Everything that man has invaded or touched, we partially destroy. But the time is coming when we will go to all of these planets now that we're told exist. And I'd like to think that God will give us all a planet of our own one day. He is reproducing himself here in us. He has restricted us to this earth by making us from the dirt. Adam means red mud, clay. The fact that our bodies are physical ties us to this planet. We can't go far, folks. We cannot go far. This is our training ground until each one of us overcomes our human nature and accepts the fact that God is reproducing himself in us, and we have to build God's character before he will lift the restriction of the physical body. Then we will go to the planets. We will travel potentially forever in space, because it says of his kingdom there is no end. And this is what we're finding out now, that space is endless. The planets out there are endless. There are billions of planets, and there are billions of us. And we will go to the stars. And I like to joke that space will be the freeway, but we will be traveling much faster than that. The speed of thought will be given to us. We will be able to think, and we will be home. We won't fight the freeways anymore. And space is our ultimate frontier. And we will be given the ability then, by the lifting of this physical, given a spirit, being, body. These superconductors now that have been built, searching for, yes, the God particle. And they claim to have found it. And now they're beginning to research that, hey, there's not just 3 dimensions, and there's not just the 5th dimension, the da-da-da-da-da-da, music that went along with that. That now they're saying perhaps 8 dimensions. And as I mentioned to someone who brought it up with me, didn't the scriptures talk about that 2,000 years ago when Christ appeared through a wall and was in a room there without the opening of doors, and the ability for us to appear wherever we want will be given to us, and we will journey through space in that mode. I've been to Houston. I've seen the risks that those men took to go to the moon, wrapped in silver paper, wrapped in tin foil. The guts that those men had to achieve what they did was just tremendous. And God will give that ability to us to journey through space. There will be no Star Wars in space. That was already done. Repelling of those who were cast down to earth, who dared to challenge God to go back and invade heaven. That's where the original Star Wars took place. But that was not allowed. And those who will not repent of that will be cast into utter darkness. They will be held away from earth, away from the influence that God has allowed them to occupy this earth for 6,000 years. And that 6,000 years now is ending. And now we will be given the rulership of space under God's control, of course. We will become sons and daughters of God. The family of God is to occupy the vastness of space.